Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everybody. There's a word that has been trending in the last year, and it's a very powerful concept, but one that many don't believe can really change their lives. The word I'm talking about is your mindset. Seems very simple, but what exactly is the mindset, and how does that help us make change and transformation in our lives to make things so much better, get us the things that we feel we deserve, find our purpose, all of that? We're going to focus on the mindset today, and that's with somebody that helps people with their transformations all the time. And she got a great backstory, too. She is Transformations with Jay. Coach Jay joins us on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thank you very much for having me. I'm doing well.
Great having you here. And I can speak from my experience and my journey. That word, mindset, it says pretty much everything. If you don't have the right mindset, no matter what you're trying to achieve, probably not going to achieve all of your goals. How do you define the word mindset?
Mindset is such a broad word. You can be very superficial about it and talk about willpower or determination, but you can go deeper. You can go much deeper than that, and that's where I think people get hung up. Mindset really has to do with being aware of the thoughts we have in our head, the negative thoughts in particular, that kind of fuel our actions on a subconscious level, basically. So you can be a motivated and determined individual, but you can also be very self-sabotaging if you're not fully aware of the thoughts in your head, you know?
It's a great point that I believe a lot of us miss, but I'm thinking about the positive mindset. So let's say you have a goal, you want to get the right mindset, the focus on everything, but you could have a negative mindset that's going to sabotage many of the things that you're trying to do.
Absolutely. So what I do with my clients is basically when they reach out to me, we set up a call. Some coaches call it discovery calls. It's a consultation. We talk about where they've been, where they are currently, and where they want to go, whether it's a short-term goal, a long-term goal. And we kind of dig into the nitty-gritty, what their beliefs are about themselves, the way they think, the way they carry themselves. A lot of that, most of that, has to do with how we think, what we think about ourselves. And so being aware and paying attention to the cues really puts us in touch with what we're thinking on any given situation, And what that does is it helps us look at how we can tune into your positive thinking to get you to your goal, to be successful, to obtain, the direction you're looking to go.
We often hear, got to get out of your head. We got to get out, you got to get out of your head. And as a matter of fact, sure. I'm in a men's group, been doing it for about 6 months, very impactful. And when we meet once a week, we do what we call an out of head, which is just a crazy, not crazy, but just fun. Something, let's go out and do, throw Frisbee in a competition for 10 minutes. Let's do touch football, whatever it might be. But then on the flip side of that, I feel sometimes you need to be in your head to really identify what's going on. What your mindset is, taking stock of what you're thinking and maybe trying to change it or shift it away from, let's say, negative talk within your mind. How do you do that? How do you really figure out what's in your head? Is there a way? Is there? I struggle with it.
Absolutely. There's a way. It's, you, like you said, you do need time to do, say, mindless things that you can do that you don't have to think about, don't have to put much effort into, where there's no pressure to perform, no pressure, to perform intellectually or physically, as far as a sport or academics. getting in touch with yourself and what's going on in your head really, it's kind of a two-part kind of thing. Meditation is a good way. Sitting with yourself in silence and just kind of paying attention to the thoughts in your head. And you don't even have to sit in meditation.
Yep.
You could, with any interaction, just pause before you respond to another human being and think what's going on in your head. Pay attention to the thoughts in your head. We do a lot of assumptions. Sometimes we don't even realize it, but we're not even paying attention to what the other person's saying because we're too busy thinking about what we want to say. Once you start to just pay attention to the thoughts in your heads with interactions with people, before, during, or after, you could physically feel it as well. A sense of anxiety, maybe a little nausea. You do have physical cues as well with circumstances. And as you become more aware and in tune with yourself, and like I said, you do that pause before you respond, that gives you also that space to see where you're coming from, where your motives are in that interaction.
So it almost sounds like when you're trying to listen to what's in your head, almost like manifestation. Like, where am I going with this? What am I thinking? Because it's often been said, too, what you think becomes your reality.
Right. Yeah, when you look at things, the way we think produces an action, and that action is our result.
Yep.
Positive or negative. So, manifestation. I like to personally set my intentions for the day. I like to speak positively to myself, as far as a way of manifesting my day. You speak lovingly, gently, compassionately to yourself. That raises your vibration. It raises your self-esteem. You start to feel good about yourself because you're talking to yourself with love, with compassion. And I find that that's very important, and that in and of itself is another way to, again, be aware of your mindset, be aware of what you're thinking, I always refer to sometimes the negative thinking as other people's voices in my head or, in the other person, whether it was a parent or a teacher, you hear that voice in the back of your head, a sibling who used to bust your chops all the time, things are formed by that, and so we have, we have our own insecurities and fears formed by a comment or a cluster of comments or a situation, an event, a lack of a relationship with a parent, it's very important to, and that's the other thing. You have to figure out how you can get to that place.
Yep.
What is best for the individual? How do we, based on their past and present circumstances, how do we figure out the steps we're going to take to get you to being aware of your mindset, aware of your thinking, so that when you're thinking and feeling, because those are really interrelated, and then, like I said, those create those actions, which gives you those results. So you really got to break it down. It's, it's a very, I approach things relatively systematically. So, but it's basically, it comes down to individual.
You got to figure out what works for you. But I'm totally on your page, because and by the way, we all look at taking 5 minutes and doing nothing, but just thinking. We minimize it, but it's so important. And I've gotten to the point now where I wake up first thing in the morning, I'm writing a gratitude journal. Then I'm like, I'm taking a couple of minutes here, whether you call it meditation or whatever. I get into, and I'm far from, efficient or, the professional at this, but I get into that zone super quick now that I do it on a regular basis. And I look forward to it. It's almost like if it feels good for you to go to the gym, whatever it might be. That for me feels good. There's those couple of moments, you get some clarity. You think about your day, what your intentions are. I heard something just last night, and I did it this morning, and it was just on a reel. Somebody said, with gratitude, which that could be a whole other topic, how important it is.
Yeah.
But write down 10 things. I never do 10. Yeah, I've got a lot to be grateful for, but time is important too. So I do like 3 or 5. Write them down. Think of 3 people that bother you. Never thought of that. And send them love and positivity. And take 5 minutes and do nothing and focus on what your intentions are for the day. And it seems so simple, but I believe, little things like that can make such a shift in your life, but we minimize it right down to breathing. Everybody breathes, but if you're intentional about it, it does make a huge difference in your life. What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really feel that, and it's my own experience, when you approach your day, well-intentioned, with gratitude,
sure,
with forgiveness. All these things are for your heart, It's like the old saying, when you're angry at somebody, they don't really know unless you express it to them. People hold grudges or resentments and things fester. But the person you got those feelings pretty much aimed at, unless you're going at it, verbally or passive aggressively, they don't know that you're upset with them.
Right.
So when you sit there and you start your day, and you pause. I mean, it's a physical and mental pause, and you start with a grateful heart and forgiveness and peace, and you set your intentions, focus on your breath, empty your mind out. It's such a freeing existence, I can't start my day anymore without doing it, and there are times I pause, throughout the day to do the same, to take 5 minutes. It's very important. We just, we're too much in that go, go, go. Instant gratification, me.
Yep.
And you don't have to even necessarily have that mindset of complete gratitude or selflessness. But when you sit and you start to pay attention to what's going on inward and your intentions that you didn't realize were there. I'm not saying when you sit and be intentional. I'm talking about, when you pay attention to selfishness or those sorts of things, it can only change your heart, change your mind, change your behaviors, when you sit like that and you write those down, it's very important.
Oh, completely. And like you said, it becomes a habit and you look forward to it. So I'll keep this very brief, but it was an aha moment for me. And this is only in the last couple of months. I would talk to friends on the weekend. Now it's like 10 o'clock in the morning and they're like, yeah, I'm still in bed. I'm like, you're in bed? Yeah, I'm just, I'm laying around watching TV. Now it's 11 o'clock a.m. You're still in bed? And this is multiple friends. And I'm like, but it's a beautiful day. You're wasting time. You can get out there. You can do so much. And then I realized that doing nothing is doing something, because you're allowing your mind to recharge, your body to recharge, think and get clarity. Everything that you just mentioned, it's not 5 minutes now. Now it's, maybe an hour or two. I'll order Dunkin' Donuts delivery. I'll sit there. I'll sip. I'll watch a little TV. Just, relax. Take me time. But I looked at it as a waste of time until I flipped my mindset. I'm like, oh, wow. So now can't wait for Sunday morning to do nothing. But it's something.
Yeah, it what it does is, it resets, and you take that pressure off yourself.
Yes.
You know you've got maybe laundry or cleaning, or you've got a meal prep, or take the dogs out, or go grocery shopping, or whatever. You know, I kind of call it, I kind of just flow through the day. I get up and I'll go do this, and then I'll take maybe an hour, and then I'll go do something else. And, you know, there's no pressure. There's not that pressure that we talked about earlier, where you've got that, you're thinking, oh, I got to do this. You know, you pull that pressure off, and your body and your mind relax. We can do that, you know, outside of sleep. You know, we don't have to recharge only when we're sleeping.
Yep.
You know, but it's such a underrated,
yes,
and underutilized process for ourselves to just reset ourselves for mental health, well-being, physically and emotionally, spiritually. Mm-hmm. It's such a, you know, underrated and like I said, talked about process. We don't. It's all about productivity.
Yeah, and
it's
guilt.
Kind of sad.
Yeah, oh, totally. You feel guilty because you're not, like I did, not doing anything. Mm-hmm. What got you to this point, Coach Jay, in helping people and your journey? Tell us.
Well, number one, I started off as an EMT in New York City, and my progression in healthcare was always because I wanted to do more for people. And I studied sports and nutrition as well, and I would coach people early on. And then I had 3 beautiful children. And at that point, I said to myself, you know what, I really need to circle back around, because I wanted to be the best version of myself that I could possibly be. Paramedic at Ground Zero in New York, you know, so I've got, you know, a lot of different experiences, and I'm now a nurse. I was ICU, emergency room. Now I do hospice. So I've kind of circled that whole gamut with that in healthcare. But I found really that I was coaching my patients, you know, and I said, you know what, I think I would really like to be able to do more. Not just on a disease process, you know, of the body, but look at the disease process of the mind, the way people think about themselves, the way they negatively talk to themselves. I really felt like through my experiences, and even with coworkers, I would cheer them up. And you know, I've always been a mentor to someone else. I've always been a teacher or a trainer in one form or another. And I just wanted to take it to the next level. And I started to explore more about mindfulness and awareness, meditation, breath work. And I wanted to bring that forward, you know, more of a holistic approach than a Western medicine approach, something that we could do that was free. You know, it's free for you to go sit and be mindful and be aware and be quiet, and it's free to set your intentions for the day and
sure.
to focus on your gratitude and, like you said, your list of people that you feel have wronged you, you know. And that's another thing. When you start to focus and pay attention to your mindset, sometimes those people who you thought wronged them, it's in how you interpreted your interaction with them, you know. So it's and that, you know, and when you change your mindset, your perceptions change, and your interactions then change, you know, and your relationships then change, and they become more prosperous, more intimate. More pleasant, you know, at work, at home, and otherwise.
It's almost like we have chains around us that are binding us, these things that we live with. But once you take the time to do the work, and I believe that everything is work, I don't mean that in a negative way, it kind of changes things. Tell me about Linda Poindexter and a quote that speaks to you.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I love her quote. It's, one small crack does not mean you're broken. It means that you were put to the test and you didn't fall apart.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it because people feel like if there's one thing they can't handle, or if someone's battling depression or an eating disorder, or, they feel like they're broken. They're not broken, They just need to be patched up a little bit, They need a different perspective, And so that really speaks to me, her quote. She's got quite a few out there.
The reason I asked for you to tell us that quote, it resonates with me in the same way. I have a friend who's a singer-songwriter, and his one song that he does, he's a local guy, here in the New York area, and the lyrics are pretty much the same, where there's a few more cracks there in my shell, but the core is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
And the cracks are good. It means we're growing.
Absolutely. We might be weathered, we might have gone through multiple seasons, we're still standing. It really is all in the mindset, your perception of yourself. Yep. When you change the perception of yourself and you get to see your self-worth and you have love and compassion for yourself, everything around you changes.
Oh my gosh, that would be another podcast. Because that took me time to realize why it is so important to love yourself. And many of us are afraid to even say that because we don't want to be perceived to have an ego. And, again, there's guilt involved. Like, I'm taking care of myself, but not the others around me. It is a game changer. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
We're just about out of time. Coach Jay, somebody wants to connect with you. This resonates with them. They want to make some change and transformation. And by the way, your background is amazing, right down to the the medical level. How do they find you?
Sure. I have a business phone number. It's 352-410-2133. They can also reach me on the Calendly app at calendly.com/Coach J with the number 2.
I don't know what you're doing, but you sound so incredibly grounded.
Well, I did take a walk in my bare feet outside before this interview.
By the way, there's been times where I've done the same thing, and I've even come home and felt like I need to touch and hug a tree. I know it sounds ridiculous. There's one particular tree that's right there by the driveway, and it's almost as if it's speaking to me, like, here, just give me a hug. You need it, and I need it.
Well, go do it.
Absolutely. Wonderful talking with you. Learned a lot, even backed up things that I've always wondered about, and certainly looking forward next time we get together.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. I had a great time speaking with you.
Absolutely. Same here. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.